Meow. How's it going, everyone? My name is SwingPoynt, and I really wanted to make a video because we just got done not that long ago with a huge Omegle event, and it went for like 13 and a half hours, and I was talking to new people like the entire time, which just completely blew my mind. I can't believe that there was that many people that I could talk to that entire time, and people were waiting like hours just to talk to me. But what was really cool about it, instead of people just talking to me, they were also talking to each other, getting to know each other. People were adding each other on Skype, on Steam. They were subscribing to each other's YouTube channels. It was a really awesome community event. It wasn't just people trying to talk to me. It was everybody talking to each other, which is something that I'm very happy with. I'm very proud of, that you guys all went ahead and talked to each other and really just had a good time and made the most out of everything and not just trying to talk to me, which is exactly what I wanted. So thank you guys so much. And don't worry, there'll be a full Omegle video where I go and I show people's reactions and things like that, because some of them were pretty funny. And we had some really good conversations. But I wanted to make this video because I'm feeling inspired by you guys right now, because of all the things I heard from you guys, all the questions that were asked to me. It really inspired me to go ahead and make this video. And I wanted to also, communicate that you guys do inspire us YouTubers. Like, a lot of people were saying, "Oh, you inspire me so much, SwingPoynt. I love your videos." And I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that you inspire me, and you inspire YouTubers in general. It's a really cool community thing where it kind of feeds itself, where we inspire you and you inspire us, and then I don't know which one chicken or the egg came first, but you know what I mean. Like, without each other, neither of us would exist, which is one thing I think is really cool about YouTube, and one thing I really appreciate about it. And I'm so glad that there are so many absolutely amazing people here that would sit here and like literally wait hours and hours, like such loyal people, to just try and talk to me. It just means that we have an awesome community here, and I'm super blessed to be able to be a part of that. And the reason for this video is I got a lot of questions during that time, and a lot of them were like the same types of questions. And I feel like if there's a lot of people asking the same types of questions in Omegle, maybe a lot of people are just thinking these types of things in general. And I just kind of want to share some of my thoughts that I had during the Omegle event with you, with the larger YouTube crowd, because I feel like it might help somebody. So one of the questions that I got a lot during this whole time was, "SwingPoynt, I'm new at this stuff. How do I get started?" Or something along those lines, where it's like, I want to figure out how to get better at this. What would you recommend? And from my experience, from my opinion, I would say the biggest thing that you need to really get started with anything is to go ahead and make sure you have a passion for it. And I know that sounds really cliche, and it's like, follow your dreams, and you've heard it a billion times, but I've come to appreciate that a lot more than I used to. I always just thought it was like like I said, one of those cliche things that everybody tells you. It doesn't really mean anything. They just say that to try and make you feel good. And I've come to appreciate that a lot more, because I've come to understand it a lot more. And YouTube and you have helped me a lot in that endeavor, in that path, however you want to say it, and trying to figure out what I really want to do, which is why I recommend to really anybody who's trying to figure out what your passion is. Know what you want to do. And I would say that's half the battle, just figuring out what you really care about, because that's a really tough thing to learn about yourself. It takes a long time, and a lot of people never figure it out. But you just have to go ahead and make sure you keep trying new things. You've heard many times before, put yourself in those uncomfortable situations, because those are often the best ones. And that's because in those situations, you're trying new things that you would have never done otherwise. And then that's when you learn new things. That's when life is like at its coolest part, is when things are still novel to you. It's not something that you've been used to for the rest of your life. It's not like you're sitting at home Googling something. That is not the time of your lives when you're sitting at home Googling something. It's when you're trying new stuff. And that's a huge part. And eventually what will happen, you will find that passion. You will go ahead and you will really want to go and do something with it. And it's okay. It is scary when you're trying to figure it out. Like when I was first starting off this YouTube stuff, I started off with all this crappy equipment, but eventually, after I was like, wow, I really do like this, moving on to that next point of like buying my first, professional type editing software, that, oh my God, I almost had a heart attack when I actually did it. Cause I was like, oh my God, I just actually committed to something like this. And I was like, that was hard for me. And as stupid and as cheesy as that sounds, it was Sony Vegas, which I don't recommend. Sony Vegas isn't that great. But I bought it for like $450, and that like freaked me out. And for no really good reason other than the fact that I just wasn't the type of person who would go ahead and try something like that. And I don't think I'm alone, or was alone, I should say. And I just want to let you know that, people like me, who some people look up to, which I still think is weird. I think it's weird that people look up to me to like SwingPoynt. I'll never get used to that, and I'm glad that I'll never get used to that, because I don't ever want to get used to that. It's something I always want to be like, this is so surreal, because that means that I'm keeping myself grounded. But I think that me showing you guys that You know, I have doubts too. I get nervous too. Trying new things is hard for me for a while too. That you can turn into that person who you think you always could be, if that makes sense. I mean, you always got to stay true to who you are, but learning more about who you are is the cool part. And don't be afraid to go ahead and try those new things. And then, I guess to kind of go into my second point, something people ask me a lot about is like, how do you be creative? I don't understand how. Like, I don't have a creative bone in my body. I can't just make something from scratch and then make it like this awesome thing that everybody wants to, you know, look at and talk about. And I don't think that many people really understand what creativity is. At least my view of it. I don't think creativity is always just going ahead and making something new, or being able to like draw something, or being able to make something from scratch. I would say creativity is far more of a iterative process, in the fact that you take something you've already seen before, you take something you already know, and you just change it a little bit, or you add a little bit to it. Creativity, I don't think, is one of these things where you just kind of have this... That was kind of weird. This inspiration that comes out of your body and all of a sudden you create something beautiful. It's rarely ever like that. It's much more often something where you see your favorite YouTuber, or you listen to your favorite band, and then like you kind of start with what they're doing. And then over time, as you learn more about what you like and you learn more about yourself, you go ahead and you start being able to turn things into your own type of thing. And then all of a sudden, it's original. That's really, I would say, what a lot of creativity is. And there's like this thing called Scamper. You ever look that up? Go ahead and like Scamper creativity. Google that, Scamper creativity, and you'll see like there's models out there that people have figured out to go ahead and try to spur creativity, and it's all very like phase by phase by phase. So if you ever feel like you're not creative, one, know that creativity isn't being able to like use the left side of your brain or whatever, like being able to draw and, you know, create music and things like that. Creativity spans much farther than that. There's way more ways to be creative than to go ahead and do something artsy. And just know that you can be creative too, and don't be afraid of the idea of being creative. And it's not as hard as people make it out to be, because it isn't what people think it is. You just gotta go ahead, start with something that you already know, and start evolving it. And you can do it, and the next thing you know, one day you wake up and you're like, wow, I'm pretty good at this. Like I did that with Photoshop. I really sucked at Photoshop, didn't know anything about it. And now I can wake up and be like, wow, after all this time of me working at it and, you know, observing what other people have done, I've got my own style and I'm pretty good at it, and it's a pretty cool thing. Same thing with video editing. When I first started off, didn't know what I was doing, and now I'm doing my own thing now, and you can do that too. And I highly encourage you to do that if you have any sort of drive to go ahead and do these types of like multimedia type things. And I think the last one is like, some people were like, I want to be the next this, or I want to be the next that. How do I become someone like you, SwingPoynt, or how to become someone like, you know, insert famous person name here. And this is one thing that's, I don't know if it's a little bit more, I don't want to say meta. I don't think meta is the right word for it, but it's definitely a harder concept to grasp. And that is, I wouldn't say trying to be the next someone else is a good idea. Try to be the first you. And I feel like you'll get a lot more satisfaction out of that. And it's a really hard thing to understand until you start really working at something. Like, it's, when I was doing this Omegle thing, it was like really weird for people to be like, oh my god, I look up to you so much, this is so cool. And I mean, I guess I was that person who would like really look up to somebody else, and like I've been doing my own thing for a while now. People look up to me. Like, you can do that too. People will look up to you if you go ahead and you stick with something, if you're persistent with something, if you're passionate, which was the first thing I said. If you're passionate about something, people will start to look up to you, and you just have to stick with it for a while. And that's the hardest part, is like sticking with something, especially when things go slow every once in a while, because things aren't always like, oh, look at all this growth, look at all these people, everything's amazing. No, things slow down. Like, I even had, like, just recently I had a month in August. That was like my slowest month. That was our slowest month on the channel from, I don't even know how many months ago, years ago. And then things bounce right back. You just need to be able to stay persistent when things get slow. And people will start to look up to you, and you'll be able to have these Omegle events where people wait 8 hours to talk to you, and you're like, what the hell? Why do people do that? And it's just because people really appreciate passion. People are inspired by it. I'm inspired by it. I know people are. And if you can stay passionate, if you can really just try to stick with something that you think you believe in and give it an honest shot, you'll be surprised at how far that will take you. You will be the first you. You won't be the next somebody else. Meow. Okay, so my camera died and I lost my train of thought because it's been like a half hour since I've been recording. So I think I remember what I was saying though. It was pretty much just go ahead and be your own senpai type of thing. Don't try to be somebody else. Just go ahead and be yourself. And I think that's kind of what people mean when they say be yourself, be true to yourself. It's not necessarily like go ahead and be completely creative and original and think of something that nobody ever thought before. It's more so going ahead and trying to focus on being the best you that you can be instead of being the best somebody else. So, with all that being said, thank you guys so much again for the amazing Omegle event. Like I said, there's gonna be a whole video dedicated to it, but I just wanted to kind of expand on some of the thoughts and like share some of the types of conversations that were going on during the whole event, because I thought there were some really, really good topics that we discussed amongst each other, and I just wanted to, like I said, share them with you guys. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much for sitting here, listening to me. Thank you for all the support that you've been showing me on, you know, the videos and Twitter and things like that. You guys have been so absolutely amazing. And I will see you guys in the next video that we do around here. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Meow. Something that I saw on SwingPoynt's channel, and I thought it was a really, really good idea. Sorry,